Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana. Jaya Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Kalachandji ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Naranarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishchiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. The mercy of the Guru, even a dumb man can become the greatest orator, and even a lame man can cross mountains. As advised by Lord Brahma, one should remember this Shastric injunction if one desires success in life. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm praying to all the devotees so I can see this as an opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam from the Vyasasana as a wonderful opportunity to dive deeper in our Krishna consciousness together as a family. So these last few months, we have been reading from Canto 7, and we dove into the wonderful pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Nrsingadev. And then we celebrated Nrsinga Chaturdasi yesterday, and we had this wonderful, wonderful play put together by Raseshwari and her friends, and all the devotees. It was such a beautiful play that brought the pages of the Bhagavatam to life. And so we're starting a new canto, and on Mondays, of course, it's the speaker's choice, which I find little difficult to figure out what to speak on, because there is no given text to follow. So one thing that, as I was meditating on Prahlad's pastime, was that the foundation, Prahlad's instructions the foundation of Prahlad Maharaj's life and actions were his Guru Maharaj's foundation, his instructions. So his Guru Narada Muni. And despite being born to Hiranyakashipu, despite his birth in the demonic family, and despite being trained by Sanda and Amarka, and we saw those wonderful training schools come to life yesterday, Prahlad Maharaj exemplified the path of devotional service such that he was considered to be the greatest of the 12 Mahajans. Narada Muni is one of the 12 Mahajans, and many of the 12 Mahajans are actually Narada Muni's disciples. And so I thought maybe I could start meditating on Narada Muni on Mondays and reading through the Bhagavatam. And as he weaves in and out of the Bhagavatam, just follow him. And so I picked Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 1, Canto 1, chapter 3, verse 8. So Vyasadeva is also a disciple of Narada, Prahlad Maharaj. All these big devotees, these are disciples of Narada Muni, Dhruva Maharaj, Valmiki. So Narada Muni is the representation of devotional path of opulence, as per one of the classes given by Srila Prabhupada. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai devarshitvam upetyasa tantram satvatam achashta neshkarmyam karmanam yatha. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai devarshitam upetyasa tantram satvatam achashta neshkarmyam karmanam yatha. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai devarshitvam upetyasa tantram satvatam achashta neshkarmyam karmanam yatha. Please chant. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai devarshitvam upetyasa tantram satvatam achashta neshkarmyam karmanam yatha. Anybody else would like to try? Tritiyam rishi sargam vai devarshitvam upetyasa tantram satvatam achashta neshkarmyam karmanam yatha. Synonyms, we can recite them together. Tritiyam, the third one. Rishi Sargam, the millennium of the rishis. Vai, certainly. Devarshitvam, incarnation of the rishi among the demigods. Upetya, having accepted. Saha, he. Tantram, exposition of the Vedas. Satvatam, which is specially meant for devotional service. Achashta, collected. Neshkarmyam, non-fruitive. Karmanam, of work. Yata, from which. Translation. In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. Please repeat. In the millennium of the Rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. We could read the purport together if anyone has the microphone. I can start. The great Rishi Narada, who is an empowered incarnation of the personality of Godhead, propagates devotional service all over the universe. All great devotees of the Lord, all over the universe and in different planets and species of life, are his disciples. Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of Srimad Bhagavatam, is also one of his disciples. So I was really struck that all the great devotees of the Lord, all over the universe and in all different species, are his disciples.
Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is also one of his disciples. Narada is the author of Narada Panchatara, which is the exposition of the Vedas, particularly for the devotional service of the Lord. This Narada Panchatara trains the karmis, or the fruitive workers, to achieve liberation from the bondage of fruitive work. The conditioned souls are mostly attracted by fruitive work because they want to enjoy life by the sweat of their own brows. The whole universe is full of fruitive workers in all species of life. The fruitive works include all kinds of economic development plans, but the law of nature provides that every action has its resultant reaction, and the performer of the work is bound up by such reactions, good or bad. The reaction of good work is comparative material prosperity, whereas the reaction of bad work is comparative material distress. But material conditions, either in so-called happiness or in so-called distress, are all meant ultimately for distress only. Foolish materialists have no information of how to obtain eternal happiness in the unconditional state. Sri Narada informs these foolish fruitive workers how to realize the reality of happiness. He gives direction to the diseased men of the world how one's present engagement can lead one to the path of spiritual emancipation. The physician directs the patient to take treated milk in the form of curd for his sufferings from indigestion due to his taking another milk preparation. So the cause of the disease and the remedy of the disease may be the same, but it must be treated by an expert physician like Narada. The Bhagavad Gita also gives the same solution of serving the Lord by the fruits of one's labor that will lead one to the path of Nashkarmara, or liberation.
Thank you, Swami. So here we see that Narada Muni has many exalted disciples: Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Vyasadeva, Valmiki, also disciple of Narada Muni. So he's very expert in getting many disciples. But Narada Muni is not only concerned with the exalted disciples, he also wrote Narada Pancharatrika. So fruitive workers like us can come to the process of devotional service. And that is something that, as I was reading this purport, struck me that we say preach, some devotees preach to the classes, others preach to the masses. But Narada Muni's example, we can see that he is concerned not only with the exalted devotees' welfare, but also with masses. And they say 99% of the population, they're interested in fruitive work. And so he has given us a pathway where we can serve the Lord and offer the fruits of our labor to Him. And that will lead to the path of Naishkarmya, or liberation. So, we're starting on this journey on Mondays when I give class. And so I also wanted to read up a little bit. This was Canto 1-3. And then in chapter 4, and there was a little bit, okay, we can touch on that later. I would also, since today is the appearance day of Srinivasa Acharya and Madhavendra Puri, I wanted to read from their life. But before we move on to those topics, would anybody like to share their realizations, especially when they play the role of Narada Muni, about Narada Muni and his teachings?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I found it interesting. I always associated Narada Muni with flying all over the universe and, singing and preaching and traveling and stuff like that. But I found it interesting that he's an author too.
Narada Pancharatra.
So, it shows that even back then, books are the basis. That books are so, they're the Brihad Mridanga. They're able to be spread far and wide. And Narada Muni could see that, so he became an author himself.
Right. And actually, as I was researching the Veda base, there was this letter that Srila Prabhupada had written to His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, and I just wanted to read 3 paragraphs from there. It's in the Veda base, if you want the reference. A spiritual master is always liberated in any condition of his life. He should not be mistaken as an ordinary human being. This position of the spiritual master is achieved by 3 processes. One is called sadhan siddha. That means one who is liberated by executing the regulative principles of devotional service. Another is kripa siddha, one who is liberated by the mercy of Krishna or his devotees. And another is nitya siddha, who is never forgetful of Krishna throughout his whole life. These are the 3 features of the perfection of life. So far, Narada Muni is concerned, in his previous life, he was a maidservant's son. By the mercy of the devotees, he later on became Siddha, and next life he appeared as Narada with complete freedom to move anywhere by the achievement of his perfect spiritual life. Similarly, any living entity who is conditioned can achieve the perfectional stage of life by the above-mentioned processes, and the vivid example is Narada Muni. So I do not know why you have asked about my previous life. So in the letter, it was an answer to Tamal Krishna Goswami's questions, and this is Prabhupada answering. So I do not know why you have asked me about my previous life, whether I was subjected to the laws of material nature. So even though accepting that I was subjected to the laws of material nature, does it hamper my becoming spiritual master? What is your opinion? From the life of Narada Muni, it is distinct that although he was conditioned soul in his previous life, there was no impediment of his becoming the spiritual master. This law is applicable not only to the spiritual master, but to every living entity. So this struck me as very instructive for all of us, that the process is so powerful that every living entity can follow in the footsteps. I mean, the verse itself, it says that Narada Muni is the third incarnation. So of course he is a Shaktivesh avatar, but Srila Prabhupada is using his example to make to make this instruction that the law is applicable not only to the spiritual master, but to every living being, that there is no impediment for us to progress in spiritual life on the same path. So, Dushyadimna Prabhu, is it possible for you to just Google gauriahistory.iskondesiretory.com, and then it's Srinivasa Acharya biography? Gaudiyah, ISKCON Desire Tree. Yeah, Srinivasa Acharya. Srinivas-Acharya. Maybe just Google from here search Srinivasa Acharya. I can start reading. I picked to read about Srinivasa Acharya because one thing that stuck in my mind every time I heard His Holiness Radhanath Swami's classes on Srinivasa Acharya was how much separation Srinivasa Acharya experienced as he was trying to meet his the senior devotees and the spiritual gurus. There was a lot of separation that he experienced in his life. So I'm hoping we can together. Okay, thank you. So I'll just skip through some of the earlier parts, and then we can read them from part 1. Srinivasa Acharya is one of the most important personalities in the religious history of Bengal, perhaps the most important Vaishnava teacher in the generation immediately following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is chiefly remembered as the illustrious disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Jiva Goswami. His achievements include delivering the writings of the Goswamis from Vrindavan to Bengal, converting King Birambir to Vaishnavism, and originating the Manohar Shoy style of Kirtan. At Keturi, Bengal, he co-organized the first Gaur Purnima festival, celebrating the anniversary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world, which Narottam, Shyamananda, and thousands of other Vaishnavas attended. Srinivasa's parents. Srinivasa Acharya's parents, the Brahmana Gangadhar Bhattacharya and his wife Lakshmi Priya, lived in the small village of Chakandi, on the banks of the Ganges in the Burdwan district of Bengal. They longed to raise a child who would be a great devotee, but until the birth of Srinivas, they were childless for many years. Gangadhar found himself calling the Lord's names aloud with uncontrollable enthusiasm. Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He returned to Chakandi half mad with ecstasy, unable to stop repeating the Lord's name. He told his wife what had happened. So this is, I skipped through, and this is Gangadhar who met Mahaprabhu. And coming down, he related his pastime of meeting Mahaprabhu, and she too was overcome with ecstasy. As the days passed, their ecstasy increased, and the whole town of Chakandi marveled at Gangadhar's transformation. Seeing Gangadhar's absorption in Sri Chaitanya's name, his wife and other villagers began to call him Chaitanya Das. One day, Lord Chaitanya told his servant of his plan for the couple, Govinda. The Lord said, "Although Chaitanya Das and his wife have not mentioned it to me, I know that they would like to have a child." This is Mahaprabhu again, I've skipped a few. They said so in front of Lord Jagannath, who is none different from me. They have prayed sincerely, and I know their hearts. Their desired offspring will soon appear. His name will be Srinivas, and he will be a greatly beautiful child. Through Rupa and Sanatan, I will manifest the Bhakti Shastras, and through Srinivas, I will distribute them. Chaitanya Das and his wife should quickly return to Chakhandi. Everybody has the microphone. Would anybody like to read from the appearance of Srinivas in Chakhandi?
In Chakhandi, the couple had a beautiful baby boy, whom they named Srinivas. He was born in the 2nd or 3rd decade of the 16th century on the auspicious full moon day of Vaishakha, April-May. Lakshmi Priya's father, Balaram Vipra, a learned astrologer, told the happy couple that their son was a Mahapurusha, a divinely empowered soul. The boy had a broad chest and long, elegant nose, and his beautiful eyes extended like lotus petals. Like Lord Chaitanya, he had a beautiful luster resembling molten gold, and arms that extended down to his knees. According to custom, Chaitanya Das and Lakshmi Priya gave charity to the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas blessed the child.
So we will skip here. Just seeing. Can we start from Narahari Sarkar Thakur's? We scroll down. It says Narahari Sarkar Thakur.
Which way? This paragraph. Narahari Sarkar Thakur. Because of Srinivas's popularity, he met Narahari Sarkar, an intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya from nearby Sri Ganda. Narahari Sarkar intense devotion had
Narahari Sarkar's intense devotion had pleased Lord Chaitanya, and Narahari had the distinction of being allowed to sing the Lord's glories in the Lord's presence, although the Lord, out of humility, would not let anyone else do so. This distinction impressed young Srinivas, and he accepted Sri Narahari as his first instructing guru. After meeting Narahari Sarkar, Srinivas began to show signs of ecstasy. Narahari told Srinivas to go to Puri to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While Srinivas was considering how to execute the instruction, his father passed away from this mortal world after 7 days of fever. It was a shock to the family, and Srinivas did all he could to console his mother.
Okay. Meanwhile, the omniscient Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preparing his associates for Srinivasa's arrival. He had already written to Rupa Sanatan and Gopal Bhatta Goswamis requesting them to teach Srivas spiritual life. And he asked Gadadhar Pandit in Jagannath Puri to teach Srinivas the Srimad Bhagavatam. Narahari Sarkar advised Srinivas to see to his mother's care in Jajigram, where her father and brothers had moved from Chakhandi. Then Srinivas was to proceed to Puri to associate with Lord Chaitanya. Srinivas asked Narahari to initiate him into the chanting of Krishna's name. But Narahari told him that Lord Chaitanya wanted him to take initiation from Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Till the boy Srinivas set out with a companion for Puri. This is meeting with Gadadhar Pandit. On the way, he learned that Sri Chaitanya had left this world. Then Lord Chaitanya, along with Nityananda Prabhu, who had also passed away, appeared to Srinivas on the pretext of a dream and consoled him. The phrase Shopno Chale, on the pretext of a dream, appears frequently in Bengali literature of the period and is usually taken to mean in spiritual vision. Still, Srinivas remained grief-stricken. He went to Gopinath temple in Puri to take shelter of Gadadhar Pandit. The Pandit was overcome with separation from Lord Chaitanya, and tears always flowed from his eyes. Srinivas bowed at Sri Gadadhar's feet and introduced himself. Gadadhar Pandit became joyful. "I am glad you have come and introduced yourself," he said. "Just before passing away, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told me to teach you the Bhagavatam. He knew you would arrive in Puri one day, and he asked me to explain Krishna Lila to you." Gadadhar Pandit's joy. Prabhu, if you come closer, then you can also. Gadadhar Pandit's joy. Okay, I can read this part and then we can go to Srinivasa's Gaurashak. Okay.
Gadadhar Pandit's joy, he could now fulfill this order of the Lord again, turned to sadness. "I cannot teach you Bhagavatam at this time, O young Srinivas," he said, "for the manuscript in my possession has become illegible from the tears I have cried onto the pages." Srinivas touched the sacred book to his head and felt ecstasy arise within himself. Nonetheless, the problem of studying a book that had been rendered illegible remained. But Sri Gadadhar and Srinivas would not be swayed from their purpose. The will of Mahaprabhu could not be obstructed. Sri Gadadhar sent a message to Narahari Sharakar in Bengal, asking him to secure another manuscript of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Narahari replied that another copy was available and that a messenger should be dispatched immediately. Gadadhar sent Srinivas himself and told him to hurry. The separation from Lord Chaitanya was intolerable, he said, and he didn't know how long he could stay in this world.
Before leaving, Srinivas fulfilled a long-cherished desire to see Lord Chaitanya's associates. He went to the homes of Ramananda Rai, C.K. Mahiti, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Vakreshwar Pandit, Paramananda Puri, Gopinath Acharya, and many others. He also went to see King Pratap Rudra, but according to the Bhakti Ratnakar, the king had gone away in solitude to lament the Lord's passing.
I was just meditating on this part. Such intense separation Srinivas Acharya is experiencing, and he wants to read the Bhagavatam, but there is only one copy that was there with Gadadhar, and that was rendered illegible because of Gadadhar Pandit's tears. And what is our difficulty when we are not reading the Srimad Bhagavatam? We have hundreds of copies around us, but we're not able to find time to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. So then this continues. Should we continue just reading through? should we continue reading through till
Yes.
8:30? Till 8:20, then at least. Yeah, let's continue reading. It's very ecstatic.
Srinivas reminded the great personalities in Puri of Lord Chaitanya. Seeing his intense and unprecedented love of Godhead, the devotees could understand that he was Gaura Shakti, the embodiment of the energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to the Prema Vilas, Srinivas is an incarnation of Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy. The Lord's intimate associates could naturally perceive this and could understand that through Srinivas, the eternal message of Lord Chaitanya, the message of the Vedic literature would be widely distributed. Lord Chaitanya had broken open the storehouse of nectarine love of God, and the Goswamis, by writing books, had taken the nectar and placed it in tangible vessels. Srinivas would see that these vessels were circulated among all sincere souls. The intimate associates of the Lord gave Srinivas instructions and advice for carrying on the mission. When Srinivas arrived in Bengal and received the copy of the Bhagavatam from Narari Sarkar Thakur, he learned that Gadadhar Pandit had passed away. The news was a terrible blow, and Srinivas lamented. Then Gadadhar Pandit appeared to him on the pretext of a dream and encouraged him to go forward. Srinivas reflected on the inconceivable will of the Lord. Why had he taken away the person who was to teach him the Bhagavatam? Was there a new plan? Was someone else to teach him the sacred scriptures? Some say that Srinivas felt despondent at this time, but not much is known about the years that followed Sri Gadadhar's passing from this world. It is generally assumed that Srinivas spent his time at first in a heartbroken state and in a serious meditation. He probably continued his studies as he was still in his teens. When Sri Janava Devi, the wife of Nityananda Prabhu, went to Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami asked her to send Srinivas to Vrindavan as soon as possible. On her return to Bengal, she relayed the message to Narari. Sri Chaitanya had told the Goswamis of Raja to train Srinivas, and Narahari advised him to hasten to Vrindavan so that the Lord's command should not be violated. The request heightened Srinivas' desire to study Bhakti literature with Rupa and Sanatan. Had he gone to Vrindavan then, he would have met Rupa and Sanatan. But he decided to visit the homes of Lord Chaitanya's principal associates on the way, stopping at Navadvip to visit Sri Chaitanya's home.
So we see such intense separation, and also the point that Srinivas Acharya was, it was determined by Mahaprabhu that he would be one of the individuals who would transfer this literature written by the Acharyas, be that vehicle to distribute this knowledge. The association with the Navadvip devotees. This was the second time Srinivas delayed a journey. First, the journey to see Gadadhar Pandit, and now Rupa and Sanatan. Perhaps Srinivas's enthusiasm to associate with Lord Chaitanya's direct followers in Puri and Navadvip was so overwhelming that he was unable to heed the advice of his forebearers. Some say that all of this was the will of providence, so that Srinivas would take initiation from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Others say that Srinivas, by his example, was teaching the importance of pilgrimage and association with devotees. Srinivas was enthralled with the home of Sri Chaitanya in Navadvip, Mayapur, where he met Vishnupriya Devi, the Lord's revered widow, and her esteemed servants, Vamshi Vadana Thakur and Ishan Prabhu. They all blessed Srinivas, and he stayed with them for several days, hearing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. During those days, he watched Vishnupriya Devi perform severe austerities. For example, she would chant Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, over each grain of rice she was to eat. When she was finished with her daily chanting, she would eat only the grains that she had set aside. Truly, Srinivas said, this is a wife who was worthy of Sri Chaitanya. Srinivas also met Damodar Pandit, Shuklambara, Murari Gupta, and other early friends and intimates of Lord Chaitanya in Navadvip. From there, Srinivas went near Shantipur, where he was warmly greeted by Sri Advaita's wife, Sita Thakurani, and her sons, Achyuta and Gopal. I just wanted to come to the point where he realizes that Rupa and Sanatan Goswami have also passed away. Okay, so we'll... the journey to Vraja. The journey to Vraja, meanwhile, Sanatan Goswami had left this mortal world, and Rupa Goswami could not bear the separation. Sri Rupa felt that he, too, might not survive to instruct Srinivas. So all these disciples of Lord Chaitanya were needing to instruct Srinivas Acharya, and right before Srinivas Acharya would come to meet them, they just couldn't bear the separation from Mahaprabhu and would leave the world. So meanwhile, Sanatan Goswami had left this mortal world, and Rupa Goswami could not bear the separation. Sri Rupa felt that he too might not survive to instruct Srinivas, so he asked his distinguished disciple and nephew, Jiva Goswami, to take care of Srinivas. I think we can stop. And this last paragraph here. While Srinivas sat beneath a tree wishing for his own death, Rupa and Sanatan appeared to him on the pretext of a dream and told him that he was the embodiment of Lord Chaitanya's love. They encouraged him to proceed to Vrindavan and take shelter of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and to study under Jiva Goswami with all his life and soul. In part 2, there's the narrations of his time with Jiva and Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. I think we may be out of time, but for those of you who have Her Grace Sitala Devi's book, The Glorious Life of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, I know Nritya Kishori was reading with the children at the TKG Academy, and all the students loved and they could appreciate Narottam Das Thakur's pastimes from this book by Mother Sitala Devi. And here there's one section where the three devotees, Narottam and Srinivas and Dukhi Krishna, Shyamananda, who was formerly Dukhi Krishna Das, get the instruction to take the books. And this is a very wonderful chapter. We'll pause here and see if we have some reflections that we want to share. Okay, if your throat is not very clear, yeah.
Yeah, I was hearing, I think it was Radhika Ramanpur, when he was here, he was mentioning how there was this generation after Lord Chaitanya, and that generation, that all the direct associates were all leaving, and he compared it to our generation, who all Srila Prabhupada's direct associates are gradually leaving, so showing us how the previous acharyas had had these circumstances and how they dealt with it and kept moving on in their determination.
Jai, that was a beautiful point. I was also reflecting on that. Thank you.
As we're reading about Mother Vishnupriya, how she would take every single grain, chant Hare Krishna, I was getting the goosebumps. That shows her total conviction in the holy name, the mantra, Mahamantra that we have. I wish we get the same. And the other one, I was thinking about this trio, right? Srinivas Acharya is among the three. Shamananda and Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur. They were the first pioneer in book distribution. And also it was nice to know that Srinivas Acharya is the propagator of Manohar style of Kirtan. Is that what?
Let me pull that up.
it mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there is Narottam Das Thakur's Gadanhati and Srinivasacharya Thakur's Manohar style of kirtan.
Yeah, the form of kirtan for which he became famous is called Manohar Shoy.
Yeah.
So, and like you're saying, that they all had these distinct. There was one also with the Narottam, like whatever Narottam is like thunder, right? You don't have to understand the language; you just know it's coming straight from the spiritual world, whatever. So all these stalwart disciples in our lineage are they have these distinct styles.
Thank you for discussing the pastimes of the acharyas. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat on the special days of that particular acharya. When we hear about their pastimes, then we get imbibed with 1/6 of their qualities.
The only thing I can do is read. So, right. Thank you for coming for Bhagavatam class after a very, very full festival day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.